So that's where this plays out, where I would be like, it's not that important, Missy. Just drop it. Don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. Just move on. But then I would feel like, but it does matter. And so then I would feel unimportant. Like,
when one spouse starts to get healthy, it can change the dynamic in the relationship.
Yeah.
And it ultimately can really change it for the better. But the truth is that for a period of time, it's a little turbulent because the thing that you've always done
doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, we're not doing this thing we always have done.
Yep, it's not okay anymore. And so you go through growing pains. You have to learn a new dance, and it can be really disruptive. Like it took us maybe a couple years to like figure this thing out.
Yeah, it did. And getting help from an outside party, a therapist, counselor, pastoral counselor can be really helpful. We sought out help because it's like our dynamics off. Things that used to feel so easy now don't feel so easy.
Yes, we were arguing a whole lot more, and it was rocky. I mean, we weren't like on verge of divorce or anything, but it was a little turbulent for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, we'd go on a date night. Most date nights would end up in one of
Fight
us.
nights.
Yeah, we would at least be frustrated, irritated, and not particularly connected.
Yeah.
So working through that was really important. Getting on the other side is worth it, but it's worth knowing that sometimes it gets a little more turbulent before it gets good.
Yeah, I'll tell my couples that a lot of times that coming to therapy, things will get worse before they get better. Because we're going to be talking about things that you guys haven't been able to talk about before. So we're going to bring it up to the surface. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to walk you through it and teach you how to talk about it. But expect it to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and the same is true with our body. I mean, physical therapy, if you've ever gone to physical therapy, doing those exercises hurt. But it helps in the long run. And the same is true with our emotional and mental health. Sometimes you've got to work through that pain to get to a healed place.
Yeah, it's true. So on a different note, I got a question for you.
Okay.
So during this training, the trainer was saying, because we do co-therapy, so there's a therapist and 5 couples. So 2 therapists and 5 couples. So he was saying, sometimes as therapists, someone in the room will tweak us or get under our skin or push our buttons or trigger us, whatever word you want to use there. And it's important as therapists that we process that together and get to what that is and just understand that about each other. Because if I'm triggered, there's something going on with me. It's not about that person, it's about something with me, so I need to be able to process that. So therapists are always processing and looking inward and understanding ourselves and growing, because we can't take a client any further than we've gone ourselves. So it's really important that we do our own work. And so I was kind of thinking, what kind of person does that for me? And it's someone who's really controlling. And I was just kind of wondering, like, why does that tweak me so much? A controlling person. I think what I came up with is I value autonomy, independence, having my own choices and making my own decisions. So I think that's one of them. And the other one, I have a real fairness quality about me.
You do?
You probably didn't know that, did you? Like, justice is really important to me. And if someone's being domineering, then that's not fair. It's not fair that the other person has to succumb to that and be controlled and dominated. But what about you? I know you have a control trigger too.
Yeah, the thing that really would and does trigger me would be when somebody has insight and they have what seems like a breakthrough. So especially when it relates to a couple relating with each other, and they are reflectively listening, and they seem to really be getting the heart of the other person. Like, oh, when I don't call that I'm going to be late, and I come home an hour and a half late and leave you with all the stuff with the kids, I get now what that does. And it just really seems like they've really heard them. And there's even been emotion, and they're like, oh, they get it. And then we come back next time, and they've done it again, and again, and again. That for me, that triggers me, and probably because I don't get it. I don't know where to go next. It's like, so now you know the harm you're causing, and you're still doing it.
It seems like that would be enough to change behavior.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change behavior. Then you're like, why? What's underneath that?
Right. Yeah. So, and maybe it's just the not understanding why that would be, and being able to empathize with the pain that it's causing the spouse who felt like they had the breakthrough of, oh, they get it now, and it still was no change.
Yeah, and the frustration.
Yeah.
Like, we just talked about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I think that triggers me partially because I'm empathizing with the person who put their heart out there.
Yeah.
And now it's hard to come up with a conclusion other than you just don't care about these really hurtful feelings that I'm feeling.
Which, it may be that, but it may be other reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very logical conclusion that most people come to. Could, I don't know. My mind goes, they have ADHD.
and it could be that, so it could be that type of thing. But even with that, I guess I would want to see strategies, whether if it was ADD or whatever it was, I just don't think of it. What will it take for you to make this thing important to you that's so clearly important to your spouse?
Yeah. But what about your control trigger?
Yeah. Yeah. What about my control trigger?
What about that triggers you? Like I kind of talked about why that triggers me.
Okay, so not so much in the context of another couple working with
No,
it, just
no,
me
for you
as an
personally.
individual. I'm a personality type. If you know Enneagram, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, and what that basically means is that my personality type is always kind of dreaming of the next thing. So always kind of forward thinking and like, imagine if this happens and 3 years down the road, this will happen. So I'm always kind of organizing things in my mind that are stacking on top of themselves. That if we can get to this, then that, then this, and man, that would be a preferred future, which it does make it difficult for me to be present in the moment. As I say this out loud, there might be a connection there. But the reason when I feel controlled and it triggers me, oftentimes it's about I won't have that preferred future because I've got pieces stacking on top of pieces and you just threw a monkey wrench in it. And now none of it's going to happen.
Okay, you won't get to your dream.
Yes.
Like this thing that you've been thinking about for weeks and you're putting all the pieces together and now it's not going to happen. I never knew that about you.
Well, there you go.
The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. Yeah. So one of your triggers is feeling unimportant or not having a voice. What about that for you?
Yeah, I think I felt that growing up. Like we didn't really talk about emotions a lot, and I felt like I was supposed to pretend things didn't bother me. I'm not saying my parents like did this on purpose. This is, but it's how I felt, that you're just supposed to suck it up, move on, let it go, shake it off, don't let it bother you, and just pull up your big girl panties and move on.
Okay.
So I learned then don't feel it, push it down, ignore it, minimize it. And that's what I did, especially early on in our relationship.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense that things sneak up on you. So emotion sneaks up on you.
That's true.
And then it's like, boom.
Yes.
I'm maxed out. I need to stop talking about this right now.
Yeah.
Whoa, what just happened? We're in the middle of a conversation. I just wonder if that's kind of remnant of that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So for me, accepting my emotions as important. Like what I think and feel matters. And I need to let it matter to me so I can communicate that so it can matter to somebody else. So, what was your original question? The trigger of feeling unimportant. I think that's why if I felt emotions, I didn't feel like I had anywhere to go with them or anybody to really talk to about them, and I just minimized them myself.
Yeah. Well, and you came into the marriage where that was our norm for the first, let's call it 10 years of marriage.
Yeah, so that's where this plays out, where I would be like, it's not that important, Missy. Just drop it. Don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. Just move on. But then I would feel like, but it does matter. And so then I would feel unimportant. Like,
yeah. And for me, I didn't know any of that was going on.
Right.
I actually kind of liked the arrangement. I called the shots, and she's like, okay. And for the first really 10 years, I'm like, man, this is going great.
She just goes along with everything I want.
And then you had to go and get healthy. Boy. But seriously, you started.
I found a voice.
Yeah, you started doing some work and realizing. Well, let me first say this. Though you were stuffing things, resentments would build.
Yes.
And then it's like the kid's toy, the Jack in the Box, would kind of come out of nowhere and be like, what is going on? Like, everything's fine. And boom, all of a sudden, something's not fine.
Yeah. Because you can only stuff things for so long. Yeah. Until they just come out. And they come out in unpredictable ways and unproductive ways. So it really wasn't good for either of us.
No, it wasn't.
Especially wasn't good for me. And but I would just feel resentful then. And that's not good for a relationship. You both need a voice. Both voices are important. Both people's opinions and feelings are important. So give importance to that, to yourself and to your spouse. Their emotions and opinions are important.